Hey guys, we've got a video here from WatchMojo today. These are 10 times wrestlers destroyed their own careers. We haven't done a wrestling video in a while. This should be fun today.
Who wants to get in the ring? You want to get in the ring?
Oh, the Daniel Puder incident.
Get in the ring with me.
Yeah, we remember
Welcome
this
to
one.
WatchMojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for those instances where a professional wrestler was either booked poorly or did something to negatively affect their long-term career prospects.
I went by the office, and that's when he wanted me to sign a paper saying that it was all my fault. I did it.
Well, I just want to say here, though, that if the video is called 10 times wrestlers destroyed their own careers, then it's not their fault if they were poorly booked. It's the fault of the company, although you do have to seize the day when you're given an opportunity, so I guess two parties are at fault. But a little bit deceptive there in the title there, WatchMojo.
Number 10. Buff is not the stuff. Buff Bagwell. The writing felt clearly on the wall when Vince McMahon's WWE purchased former rival WCW. Not every section of their talent was going to be used going forward.
Yeah, so I saw this match live in Australia. I remember when was it? Back in 2001. It was like the WCW main event or part main event against Booker T, right? I don't know if it was just the fact that the WWE audience just didn't want to embrace the two wrestlers at the time, but there was just certainly something wrong with the energy in the room. I know all the people in the backstage were trying to say that it was a really terrible match. I've seen a lot worse Attitude Era matches, to be honest, than what this was. I'm not by any stretch saying it was a good match, but it wasn't really that bad. Certainly don't think it was enough for Buff Bagwell to get fired, but there might have been some other backstage issues as well.
Still, this episode of Monday Night Raw seemed to at least lend a little bit of prestige to Booker T's defense of WCW's World Heavyweight Championship title. Unfortunately, his opponent on this night was Buff Bagwell, a talent that even on his best days wasn't usually envisioned as a main event talent.
And then just boom! The WWF champion.
Credence was further given to this opinion once the match began in earnest, since Booker T versus Bagwell quickly unfolded into a black eye for the company. Buff
Damn, he's just getting buried there in the backstage area, hey? I mean, there was a lot of problems because all the big talent, once WCW got acquired from WWE, were just sitting out their contracts because they could either cancel their contract early and work or sit out their contracts and basically get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for doing nothing. So, I mean, most of these guys have half a brain in their head and they're just going to take the free payday before they wrestle again, right? And so that's why you were left with sort of like the upper mid-carders and the mid-carders to fill the WCW roster during the invasion angle, and probably why it ended up being a little bit lackluster.
clearly wasn't the stuff on this night, and he was fired from WWE soon afterwards.
Look at this. He's getting the same treatment.
Number 9. Kronik is unforgiven.
Oh,
Kronik.
yeah.
Brian Clark and Brian Adams weren't strangers to the WWE landscape, with the former working as Atom Bomb, and the latter as Crush. Still, their tag team pair-up of Kronik didn't seem to last long thanks to this disastrous match at Unforgiven 2001 against the Brothers of Destruction.
Yeah, the whole thing kind of felt clunky. I remember seeing this one too. And it's such a shame because I know there wasn't that many highlights in later WCW, but I remember really enjoying watching Kronik on Monday Night Nitro. So I was excited to hear that they were possibly getting signed with a company. I remember, I think, one episode of Raw or SmackDown, I can't remember which one, they started attacking The Undertaker. And I was like, oh wow, we're going to get Kronik in WWE. And then this was essentially like a big tryout match, and it didn't work out, unfortunately.
Undertaker being manhandled.
Clark was fired shortly after the contest for allegedly working unsafely in the ring, although it should be said that members of both teams were recovering from injuries. This combined with accusations of potential ring rust on the part of Kane were felt clearly in the ring, and the match suffered greatly as a result of these factors.
Out of the ring by the Undertaker. Richards tried to...
Clark and Adams would eventually find redemption wrestling.
It certainly was a very clunky and not a good match. But, you know, if it's a matter of ring rust, why don't you just send the guys down to developmental just to take the green away and just freshen up, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think all wrestlers are beyond redemption. I think being sacked or let go over this is a little bit harsh. Probably nerves of being in the spotlight. WWE was such a big company at the time, like the monopoly. I mean, there's a lot of factors, you know, timing plays into it as well, circumstances. Yeah, it just seems a little bit too black and white sometimes. Hired or fired, you know. But hey, you know what? I'm not writing the checks.
In Japan, but their days as WWE stars were effectively finished.
Choke slam. Undertaker with a choke slam.
Number 8, no selling the finish. Austin Aries.
Dude, I mean, his career's never been the same since then. So he kind of had a lackluster run in WWE. I think he was doing all right in NXT for a little while. And then he went back down to TNA, and he had this infamous match, I think it was, against John Morrison, where he got pinned and instantly got up and was like, fudge this, and then left. And just basically, I guess you could say, put the credibility of pro wrestling down the toilet. I mean, at least as far as TNA goes, Impact. And yeah, he's hardly been booked ever since. What an amazing talent Austin Aries is, but just people just didn't want to work with him because he's kind of a bit of a douche.
The professional wrestling career of Austin Aries does continue at the time of this writing, but it admittedly took a turn for the worse after this infamous appearance at Impact's Bound for Glory event in 2018. The feud between Aries and Johnny Impact during this time felt fairly personal, and it came to head after Aries no-sold the finish to the match.
Yeah, let's have a look at this.
Aries stood up immediately after eating the pinfall, as well as Impact's finisher, Starship Pain.
Starship Pain, I should know that.
The fallout from this incident saw Aries' Impact contract not being renewed, although the greatest man that ever lived transitioned over to work at places like NWA and Major League Wrestling.
You know, the problem is once you get to the point where you really believe your own hype, you no longer want to, like, improve or humble yourself and learn something different, whether it's in regards to your craft or people or how you do things. And yeah, now everyone's probably going to be like, Austin Aries who? Like, no one really knows who he is or what he's doing anymore.
Number 7, going into business for herself, Sexy Star. There's nobody, certainly not us, that's going to accuse Dulce Maria Garcia Rivas, aka Sexy Star, of being anything less than tough stuff.
Is this the one, I can't remember if this is the one where she deliberately busted this other poor girl's face open or broke her arm live during a match. But I vaguely remember hearing about this and thinking at the time it was the most unprofessional thing ever. Let's continue.
This incident from AAA's Triple Mania 25 in 2017 severely hurt Sexy Star's ability to book in the aftermath of a real-life shoot in the ring.
Yeah, there's the arm.
That locks in that submission.
There's the arm.
That's it.
So you're not letting go of the arm?
Rivas put one of her opponents in this 4-way contest. Rosemary in a legitimate armbar, injuring the competitor and earning Sexy Star some legitimate heat in the process.
You're the winner. Wait,
yeah, that's messed up, man. I don't care how much you dislike working with the person you're in the ring with. From a professional point of view in pro wrestling, you're trusting the other person with your body, right? Just get the job done, work together safely, put on a wonderful show for the fans, and then if you want to beat each other up afterwards backstage, do it then. This nonsense is kind of happening more often. Like, you heard about that other young fellow that ran into the ring like a couple months ago. What's his name again? And just started pounding a guy for it. There's a whole complicated story about that. The point is, you hear about this stuff happening more often than it should be. And quite frankly, you do something like this, I think you should be blackballed for the industry for life, quite frankly. Inexcusable.
To let go.
Rivas continued to fight, however, this time for real within the worlds of both boxing and mixed martial arts.
She never lost focus. She got the win.
Number 6, wrong crowd, bro, Robbie McAllister. This entry could be construed in a couple of different ways. Robbie McAllister was a member of the Highlanders, although some fans have argued that this tag team was already falling down the totem pole around March 2008.
Now Hacksaw coming in and getting involved.
Yeah, I don't think I remember this incident. So I sort of stopped watching WWE for a little bit, about halfway between 2005 and the very start of 2009. So I did do a little bit of catching up, but obviously, like, lesser known teams like this flew under the radar a little bit for me. So we're going to be learning something here today.
This was when McAllister was spotted in the audience at a TNA show, an act which was frowned upon by WWE management during this time.
Right.
From the entertainment world on hand here tonight at Thursday Night Impact. Well, I wonder
it's like he's holding his face. It reminds me of that couple at that Coldplay concert, like, oh shit, I'm busted. Oh, what's going to happen? Oh, my wife going to divorce me. Oh, now he's like, oh shit, I'm going to get fired.
This is on hand.
Sure, the company may cross-promote with other wrestling companies in the modern day, but some wrestling fans and journalists have pointed at this incident potentially influencing WWE's decision to release the Highlanders in August of that year.
It was a different time back then. You see, like, Bailey now just rocks up to AEW events now, apparently to support Mercedes Moné, who's like one of her best friends, and she don't give two fudges. And yeah, it seems like the WWE is a lot more lenient on these kind of things these days. So yeah, very unlucky.
Number 5, dropping the Viper on his head, Mr. Kennedy.
I still don't know if he really did drop Randy Orton dangerously on his head or not. I mean, when I watched this replay back, it's not a big deal, but the way I look at this is Kennedy did get in his own way anyway, because I think he had a wellness violation, a bunch of injuries, when he was just like this close into getting into the main event. Like, they were going to do an angle where he was like Vince McMahon's illegitimate kid, and they were going to have him like cash in after winning Money in the Bank, right? If I'm not mistaken. And then he finally came back for like one more chance, and he was on that team versus team match. And then, yeah, apparently Randy Orton complained that he dropped him funny on his head, and then John Cena, I think, backed him up behind the scenes. Then all of a sudden, Ken Kennedy got fired. And, you know, he's been so close to taking that main event spot so many times that, you know, maybe John Cena and Randy Orton at the time, who weren't as nice as people apparently as what they are now, they seem to be good dudes now, probably felt a bit threatened and just wanted him gone, you know, so cut the fat, so to speak. I mean, what do you guys think actually happened?
The career of Ken Anderson, aka Mr. Kennedy, say it right, Tony Schimmel, was one of what could have been rather than what was at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Biggest what-if story, man. One of the bigger ones. Kennedy! That was so cool, bro.
Nobody will probably deny how popular and effective Mr. Kennedy was during his early days on the WWE's main roster. Still, this superstar in the making tended to work a stiff style, and this came to a head during a match with the Viper,
let's have a look
Randy
at
Orton.
this.
Relax there for a moment. You don't want to get overconfident because something like that could happen.
I mean, that to me, that just looks like a regular back body drop. Now, I'm not speaking from like total ignorance. I've had some very minor independent wrestling training back in the early 2000s, and in taking a bump and how to safety deliver like basic moves, okay? Certainly not saying I'm any kind of pro wrestler. I'm just saying I've had at least a little bit of training plus years of watching it. That just looks like a run-of-the-mill back body drop to me. Again, I'm not the one that's receiving the bump at the end of the day. It could have just been one of those unfortunate things because, like, Randy Orton has been known to have niggling injuries, of course. What do you guys think happened?
A back suplex.
A botched suplex resulted in an awkward landing for Orton, and it would be only days after this match when Kennedy was released by the company.
Mic check by Kennedy. RKO by...
Number 4, pulled over. RVD and Sabu.
Oh,
Rob Van
gosh.
Dam will always be the whole effing show.
You know,
And
usually when talents get caught with, like, Gunja, at least for the first time, maybe even the second time, it's somewhat of a slap on the wrist, a bit of suspension and a fine. But when you were the company's champion who have finally pulled the trigger on you, and you're supposed to be the poster child for, like, families, children, and everyone that watches, like, wrestling in their home from ages 6 to 60, and then you're the representative of the company now and you get caught with Gunja. I mean, even today, like, I understand everyone's going to be like, it's legal. Yeah, I understand that in most states it's legal now. But, you know, back in the day, we were promoted the whole winners don't do drugs. And even though Gunja's pretty harmless, it's still a drug, right? And so, you know, even though Hogan wasn't as, I guess you could say, as honest about it as what he basically used in his actions, so to speak, the whole say your prayers and eat your vitamins was the inspirational thing to kids back in the day. Not to smoke weed and fly, right? So I can understand why RVD lost his opportunity, but hard luck. He worked so hard
like he was enjoying the apex of his WWE career in 2006. Van Dam made history by holding both the WWE Championship and the ECW World Heavyweight Championship during this time. But all it took was an arrest for speeding and drug possession to put an end to this main event run.
He wrestled for WWE. Is that right?
Yeah.
The incident not only resulted in a suspension for Van Dam, but also effectively influenced WWE's decision to eventually release both RVD as well as his traveling partner Sabu.
Yeah, and RVD came back a couple times, and by then he was older, slowed down a bit, never really excelled past the mid-card, had great matches still, but, you know, he was there to basically make younger talent look good as you do when you get older, and that's just how it is, I suppose.
Number 3, Brawl for Naught, Bart Gunn.
And a radical experience.
This one really annoys me because Bart Gunn basically is getting punished for having a bunch of slugging talent. And he's being punished for backstage politics. You know, Jim Ross was like, oh, Steve Williams, he's a big tough guy. We'll put him in this Brawl For All tournament, and he'll knock out everybody, and then he'll earn himself a main event match against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everyone, oh, well, let's see how Steve Williams goes. And then Bart Gunn basically went in this competition, this shoot fight, which shouldn't be happening on a wrestling show to begin with, part wrestling, part boxing rules, and he beat the flying bejeebers out of absolutely everybody. And rather embrace it and be like, hey, you know what? We got a brand new tough guy in our roster. They wanted to punish him for not being the guy they were hoping would win. And so they put him against Butterbean, a trained super heavyweight boxer who was quite famous at the time and well known for his stopping power. And boom, knocked the hell out of him. And we never saw Bart Gunn ever again. What a crock of crap that was. Shame on you, JR. Shame on you.
Legitimate prize fighting tournament.
Wrestling media just loves to talk about the Brawl For All, a real fighting tournament that was held within the WWE back in 1998. This controversial creation from former WWE writer Vince Russo was intended to be a vehicle to elevate the career of the company's legitimate tough guys.
An unpopular opinion, I don't even think the Brawl For All itself was such a bad idea. But since it's a shoot fight where people are actually hurting each other, more preparations probably should have been made to make it safe and I guess translate better on TV, because the whole thing did sort of end up feeling like a bit of a waste of time. A lot of people blame the idea, possibly because a lot of people did get hurt for nothing, but that makes me think maybe with prior preparation it probably could have worked, but I guess we'll never know.
Including Dr. Death Steve Williams. Unfortunately, Williams was KO'd by an unanticipated star, Bart Gunn of the Smoking Guns. Gunn would go on to win it all, but his prize was essentially to get brutalized by Butterbean in a finale from which we as a wrestling society still
really
haven't
pissed me
recovered.
off.
Number 2, the Stossel slap, Dr. D. David Schultz.
Yeah, David Schultz. So I think I don't care if you're a journalist or in any other field, if you're going up to a genuine tough guy and you want to question that person's integrity or challenge their toughness or manhood, you play with the big boys, then you expect to get rough. I don't have anything against, honestly, what David Schultz did, to tell you the truth. I think, yeah, you know what, I guess technically it was classed as assault, but it's not like he left any bruises or blood or anything like that. He was just taking care of a man's business. And, sometimes people just need to learn not to run their mouths, I think.
Admit that we probably shouldn't be celebrating any sort of physical assault in this space. Still, isn't there something satisfying about Dr. D. David Schultz slapping the taste out of the mouth of condescending 2020 reporter John Stossel?
You think it's fake?
The incident made headline news in 1984 after Stossel sued and claimed legitimate injuries from his encounter with Schultz. Dr. D, in the meantime, has maintained that Vince McMahon influenced his reaction.
Who gives a shit? It's a slap. It's not like he used a knuckles punch and broke bones or made him bleed, you know what I mean? The guy got a bit smug with his questioning, and he got what he should have got as far as I'm concerned. It's just a shame that Vince McMahon kind of basically turned David Schultz, I guess, into the sacrificial lamb after the whole court case and everything, the suing. And, I don't think David Schultz probably would have been a main player long term anyway. But I don't like that it negatively affected him as much as it did.
Action to Stossel's accusations of pro wrestling being fake.
Screw that guy,
Stunned,
asshole.
a little scared, and that's
No,
why
screw
I
you.
crawled
No,
off.
screw
I didn't
you.
want to get hit
Cry, baby.
again.
You want to play with the
This was
big
during a
boys,
time
get
when
rough.
WWE was still subject to scrutiny by New York State's athletic commission, and David Schultz was fired not long after this media fracas.
Oh, yeah, we remember that guy. He slapped the hell out of that reporter, Dr. D. David Schultz.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Hey guys,
and ring
give
the bell to get
WatchMojo a sub and
notified
us a
about
sub
our
too.
latest
Thank
videos.
you guys.
You have the
Hope
option
you
to be
enjoyed the video
notified
so
for
far.
occasional videos or all of them.
Click that
if you're on your
bell on both
phone,
of
make
us.
sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Good video, isn't it?
Number 1, initiative is a bad thing. Daniel
Oh,
Puder.
Daniel Puder. Okay, so let me just start off by saying that if Daniel Puder was given instructions like, okay, tonight you're going to go out there against Kurt Angle, you're going to pretend to have a shoot wrestling match, make sure Kurt Angle goes over, make him look good, Daniel Puder probably would have been like, yep, no problem, played ball. Problem is they sent all these young kids to go out here in, like, I guess you could say an improv situation without a better term, to actually wrestle Kurt Angle For real, what's the word? Cup of DM sees the day, whatever the term is. I mean, I don't know freaking language, but the thing is, nothing worthwhile in life is achieved without an element of risk. And Daniel Puder was thinking, well, I'm a trained fighter. What if I can actually get one over one of the top stars of the company? They'll be sure to look at me as a real deal, and maybe I'll finally get more opportunities. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way for Daniel Puder, but there has to be a level of respect for him to be bold enough to at least take that chance. And I know a lot of the old guard is like, oh, he's disrespectful, he's disrespectful, he's disrespectful. They sent him out there in an improv situation. What do you expect the kid to do? You should have given him instructions. You can't really blame him for that.
Daniel Puder was seeking to apologize rather than asking for permission. Or maybe this tough enough winner was simply trying to grab the brass ring by showing up a legitimate Olympic athlete. Either way, this 2004 incident between Puder and Kurt Angle became infamous for the latter almost having his arm broken by a legitimate Kimura lock.
Shoulders are down, and this one is...
This in-ring angle soon devolved as authorities broke up Angle and Puder before any real damage to character or body could be done.
Much for the UFC.
Angle's so
The
pissed.
WWE weren't finished with Puder, however, as evidenced by the ruthless beating he received in the
You know, I don't even mind this. Like, this is a little bit of a hazing ritual. I remember Bob Holly, the next Rumble, Eddie Guerrero, and Chris Benoit just beat the living piss out of this guy. And I'm not going to lie, a little bit nasty, but it was absolutely awesome to watch. And I honestly thought we'd see Daniel Puder again. I don't think we did. I think he may have wrestled a dark match after this, and that was it. What could have been? I mean, I did see him interviewed since. I can't remember what he said, but, you know, he seems to be doing all right in life now, so good for him. But it's a shame. I think they could have done a lot more with this guy.
5 Royal Rumble, a receipt for taking a little too much career initiative. Care to invent any alternate reality theory?
Yeah, I mean, let me know of any other wrestlers you think destroyed their careers, but this was a really good video. Thank you, WatchMojo. Don't forget to give us both a like and a sub, guys, and I guess we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.